to get to, and actually we have a lot to get to and a short time to do it. So, what do I have in the zone today? On a hot Saturday evening here in the air capital city, known as Wichita, Kansas, in the zone with your host Anthony Smith. Well, Donovan Mitchell trade update. Nothing imminent. Jazz would carry him into the season. So let's just get into this intriguing story. The latest update on the Donovan Mitchell trade front remains there is no update. Utah is still looking to trade Mitchell, and the Knicks remain the clear front runner because they have the first round picks the Jazz seek. But the sides are not close, and Utah is willing to carry Mitchell into the season rather than settle for less than their asking price. And that asking price is more than the 4, really 5 first round picks they got in the Rudy Gobert trade. Tony Jones, the Jazz beat writer for The Athletic, joined Mitchell Scotto on the Hoops Hype podcast Friday and gave just that update. He said, I don't think the two sides are close. I don't think they have been close. We'll see what happens as the urgency of training camp looms. The Jazz want what they want, which is picks out of this deal. And they want young guys on short or rookie contracts. By definition, that means Toppin, Grimes, and quickly. The Knicks don't want to unload Derrick Rose. He's long been a favorite of Tom Thibodeau. I know the Knicks want to hang on to him and Grimes. Those guys are priorities. The sense I get right now is it's probably not going to happen on an imminent level. The two sides aren't close. To me, I think if it's going to happen, it's going to happen closer to training camp or the start of the season. If it doesn't happen then, we'll see what happens closer to the February trade deadline. There should be some pressure on the Jazz around training camp because for all the picks they got in the Gobert trade, Utah's most valuable rebuilding asset is its own first rounder. Put more bluntly, if the Jazz want to be in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes next June, they need to lose a lot of games. Keeping Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley, Jordan Claxton, Patrick Beverly, and other veterans on the roster will mean wins. But Danny Ainge is not one to be rushed. He is playing a long game, and if it means waiting until the season starts, or maybe the Knicks stumble in a deep East and get a little desperate, he will wait it out. Maybe a 3-team trade with the Lakers will even find a second life, although that is more of a long shot. 2 other interesting notes from Jones on the podcast. First, he said that the Heat do not have the assets that the Jazz want and are not close to a deal. While you can argue, as Ira Winderman has, that trading for Tyler Hero and then flipping him can get Utah 2 more firsts, Jones suggests Utah is not interested in that extra step. Second, he said the Jazz have little stomach for bringing in Julius Randle as part of the trade. So keep him out of your trade machine attempts to get this deal done. So like I said, we just started off with some NBA talk, and we're going to keep the NBA talk going as we talk dynasty. Chicago dynasty. Or how about Golden State's dynasty? Or how does one particular person view the Bulls dynasty versus Warriors dynasty debate? If there's someone that always has something to say, whether you agree with him or don't agree, it's one Scottie Pippen. So Scottie Pippen shuts down dynasty Bulls versus Warrior debate. Scottie Pippen says the words with gusto. He isn't interested in a debate on the topic. Put this out there. The best team to win a championship is the 96 Bulls. He told NBC Sports Chicago while promoting a partnership with Dick's Sporting Goods to give back to Chicago through a basketball camp and gear giveaway. That statement came in response to Warriors forward Draymond Green's recent assertion that the 2017 Golden State team, headlined by Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Green, would have handily beaten the 1998 Chicago Bulls. In his tweet, Draymond Green, at Money23Green, I'm watching the 98 Bulls versus Utah in the finals. I can't help but notice our 2017 would have beaten these Bulls by a dub and these Jazz by 40 if they're going to play these brands of basketball, and that's why it's dumb to compare eras. Yes, Pippen opted against a direct comparison between the 2017 Warriors and 1998 Bulls, but his larger point regarding the greatness of those dynasty Bulls squad stands. Tell Draymond I yelled back, Pippen chided. What made the 1996 team specifically so great in Pippen's memory? Our record, he said flatly. Indeed, the Bulls amassed a 72-10 regular season record that season, then marched through the playoffs with a 15-3 record. The 2017 Warriors went 67-15 in the regular season, but bested the Bulls' postseason mark by going 16-1, dropping only Game 4 of the NBA Finals against the Cavaliers at a time they possessed a 3-0 series lead. Pippen didn't get into specifics, but certainly any matchup between the Warrior squad and a Chicago team featuring Michael Jordan, Pippen, Tony Kukoc, Dennis Rodman, and others would have been quite a doozy. Talk about a doozy. Can you imagine this matchup? Dennis Rodman against Draymond Green. Can you imagine that? Ultimately, and to Green's point, such comparisons are folly because of the difference in play styles across eras and the hypothetical nature of the exercise. Still, there is no doubt this debate will rage for a long time. In the wake of everything that is going on, we have the Brittany Griner situation. We had the passing of not one, but two legends this past week. I am going to take a pause, and when I come back, I want to talk a little bit of Bill Russell and the impact that he made on the game and outside the court. And then I'm going to pose this question. Just who is the real GOAT? Would it be Michael Jordan or would it be Bill Russell? One thing is obvious. Both of those individuals were unstoppable when it came to the playoffs. Which is why I also understand why Chauncey Billups made this statement when he compared the Jordan time and the current LeBron James. He said, hands down, Jordan is the GOAT compared to LeBron James, because during the Jordan era, no one won championship rings. During the LeBron era, other teams also won rings. But now the same could be said for Bill Russell. But when I come back, I will definitely talk from Bill Russell, remembering the life and legacy of one Bill Russell. So stay locked in the zone. It's yours truly, Anthony Smith. I'll be right back. Back to In the Zone with Anthony Smith, and as I promised when I came back, I'm going to talk a little bit about Bill Russell and the impact he made, not just in the game of basketball, but also in the game of life. Basically for being a well-rounded person on the court and in the game of life. Activism, stood up for his beliefs. Even if it caused him verbal ridicule, house broken into, which we will get into all of that in this story. So, Bill Russell, NBA legend Bill Russell, dies at the age of 88. Boston Celtics legend Bill Russell died Sunday at age 88. His family announced on social media. Russell was one of the best players in NBA history with 5 MVP awards and a record 11 NBA championships during his career, as well as 2 NCAA titles. In 2009, the NBA Finals MVP award was named after Bill Russell. But for all the winning, Bill's understanding of the struggle is what illuminated his life. A statement from Russell's family reads in part, "From boycotting a 1961 exhibition game to unmask too long tolerated discrimination, to leading Mississippi's first integrated basketball camp in the combustible wake of Medgar Evans' assassination, to decades of activism ultimately recognized by his receipt of the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2010, Bill called out injustice with an unforgiving candor that he intended would disrupt the status quo. And what a powerful example that, though never his humble intention, will forever inspire teamwork, selflessness, and thoughtful change." Bill Russell earned spots in the Basketball Hall of Fame as both a player and a coach, taking over as the Celtics head coach in 1966 while he was still a player on the team. During his 3 seasons as a player coach, the Celtics won back-to-back titles in 1968 and 69 before his retirement. Russell led the NBA in rebounding 5 times and is one of only 2 players, along with Wilt Chamberlain, who recorded more than 20,000 career rebounds. So, with that being said, I have to ask you this question. Just who is the GOAT? Would that be deemed as Michael Jordan, as we know, because that's who we saw in our era? Or if you strip down the barriers of eras played and look at the total body of work, then you have to throw the name Bill Russell in there as the GOAT. The old saying goes like this: Wilt Chamberlain had all the individual accolades, had all the points scored, but Bill Russell, if you want to find him, had the championships, not just on the court, but off the court as well. So now, I pose this question: just who is the GOAT? Jordan, Russell. Russell, Jordan. One thing is for certain, that keep these two connected. Never will there be another Jordan. Never will there be another Bill Russell. But where the difference also ends, or the comparison also ends, is right here. Just recently, it's been noised about that maybe the number 6 should be retired across the league, a la a Jackie Robinson, 42 ban across the league. Interesting that would come up, because someone in the same sentence said, well, if you retire the number 6 across the league, wouldn't you have to do the same for number 23? My theory is not necessarily so. Jordan didn't cross political barriers. Jordan didn't do things off the court, maybe outside of his little small gambling problem, that would put his playing career in jeopardy with the masses. Whereas Bill Russell, to him, it was more than the game of basketball, but it was the game of life. Knowing that people tolerated him for 48 minutes. Well, they cheered him for 48 minutes, but they barely tolerated him outside the game. Jordan didn't have to go through that. So in essence, Bill Russell is really a pioneer, paving the way that younger generations don't have to go through what he went through. Coming into his own apartment room, find his place vandalized, feces all over the wall, knowing his bed sheets. None of these players have to go through that. He did. Michael Jordan didn't have to go through that. Bill Russell, he did. So now, once again, I pose that question. Who is the GOAT? Would it be Michael Jordan? Would it be Bill Russell? All we know is this. There's been plenty of players that didn't get rings because Michael Jordan stood in their way. Even more so with Bill Russell and the Boston Celtics. 11 of 13 times, somebody didn't win because there was a green machine and a number 6 in the way. So you be the judge. Anyway, this short and sweet podcast, In the Zone, with Anthony Smith. Hope you enjoyed it. I will be back in the days to come on a more consistent basis. It is In the Zone with Anthony, getting ready to step out of the zone. But I hope you enjoyed the content of this short, brief podcast of In the Zone. Like I say, I will be back with some more in the days and weeks to come as I get ready to build this podcast up to a standard that will rival a podcast that I have on another platform. So you will be hearing me. I will be a household name at some point. So what I want you to do is when y'all get this podcast, listen to it in its entirety, share it. You will also see it on such platforms as iHeartRadio, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. So enjoy. This is yours truly, Anthony Smith.